Welcome, everyone. We are live at Future of Work 24 Hours, and I'm excited to be here. You want to say hello?
Oh, I'm excited to be here. Just like, I think it's my first live stream ever that I'm participating in. And it's such a pleasure and honor to be with you, April. I have such enormous respect for and joy of what you're doing together with Lena and everyone else, so many people involved.
So we're talking about the future of work. And as you've been here, the conferences have been going for a few hours now. And what are your takeaways thus far?
What is my takeaway thus far? Again, open space to me is this learning ground for the larger open space of life. That here we get to practice behaviors and ways of being that, like, since I learned about open space, I applied in life in general and has made life so much easier for me. And to see that here, to come and go and see, right now there's a session, for example, that was scheduled for half an hour, 45 minutes. I think it's now 1 hour 15 or something going on, and I participated in the first part of it, and not anymore. It's about the playful organization, and it's like people are just glued to that topic right now, and it's so beautiful for me to witness.
Yeah, it's beautiful, like how there's a few conversations, because every 30 minutes a new conversation is beginning, but it doesn't mean it's lasting 30 minutes. It starts when it starts and it's over when it's over. And there's a few conversations that it's been going on for hours right now. And I've seen it before where people leave and maybe come back. And who knows, as we have multiple circles throughout this 24 hours, that other people could revisit it and saying like, "Oh, I want to explore that." As you're saying, like play at work, or the Great Resignation is one topic that I see is have a lot of people still engaging there. So
I'm also aware of something that is not spoken about so much, I think, in open space, and that is the moment I sign up for an event, I kind of click into the thing. And so I had a topic posted, and before the session even started, I was making myself something to drink in the kitchen. I was tuned into my topic, and also into this. It's like a whole field of creativity that we enter that is bigger. There's more energy than if we are on our own. So I could be in my kitchen and contemplate that topic and not get very far. But the moment I contemplate the topic, this may sound strange for some, but the moment I contemplate that topic within this larger space, even without talking to people, there's a different energy, different possibilities available. And I would love to hear about how you got to the topic, because unimagined possibilities, possibilities is one thing, it's already great, but the unimagined, beyond what was imagined possibilities, that's that's something.
So the unimagined possibilities topic was developed as a community. The theme for this conference, which is beautiful. In the past, I would say that the first year, the theme came from Lena and I, and then after that, it's like the community has been coming up with the theme. And this year, so much so, it came from a brevity of people fine-tuning it and what we're going to explore. It came from a lot of volunteers, which we have about 50, inputting into and refining it to uncover like what are they sensing about what this theme was for this open space. And I think they did an amazing job, and we all have voice in it. So it's a little bit of everyone in it. So I love that. That's how co-creation is our theme, right? Not my theme or anyone else. So and what to see happen. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful to really to reflect on that, seeing that that not just like what is possible, is like to take it a step further, right?
Yeah.
And for me, my step forward is like not just having the courage to speak about what's unimagined, but to act on it. Because once you voice it, that's the beginning, right? And hopefully that as we go through this 24 hours, we'll see how people might act on it or begin to. What do you think?
I am so kinesthetic, so I explore a lot of things, not firstly with words, but with another sense. And so I could kind of feel how this was the space of my imagined possibility, and there was another space that was like my wildest dreams, and then there is the even unimagined. And it's about being different, like acting from a different way of internal being and internal self-identification, I would say.
So what are some of the things?
Go
ahead.
I
Go ahead.
have a question for you.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, because I mean, like you're doing this the third year in a row, and I'm not sure, but I could possibly that I was there every year. I believe so. And I wonder, is there something that in terms of your vision that is kind of the touching on the unimagined possibility for the future of work? What is
that's a really great question. For me, is a part of our vision for this is that people here, we have multiple thought communities here, right, converging. And I remember the first year to say, this is unheard of, like us talking together, right? And it's beautiful, and to see that what is possible from that when people start talking together. If we have people from different communities start talking together, I think we can unimagine like even more, and even look at the world. And I think thinking more of us as a collective and not as individuals. And I'm seeing that. I've seen how people from the relationships that have forged and how we're intermingling. Because the goal wasn't to say, hey, we have our own thing, buy into that. We really wanted people to start exploring and engaging with each other. Taking, expanding their mindset, inviting them to do so, and seeing that door is actually open, it's not closed to them. And so I think that's been fun. Hello, welcome. So because we're just going live from our open space, we're gonna have people pop in to this. Do you want to say hello and share? Introduce yourself and share.
Hi, April. I'm so excited that you're doing this. My name is Shevah, and I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, heartland of the U.S. And I am really excited about what could be possible with the online format. And I am challenging everyone to bust through the myths of what connected can mean, and how we're so set that it has to be in person, but so much more impact and possibilities can happen when it's virtual. And I look at different techniques and tools and modalities that can make that happen for people.
So when you say more connected, could you give a little bit more and say, what does that look like to be more connected?
So for me, it's looking at more that we're not using Zoom as a place for talking heads, but for a place of and not top-down leadership, and not just lectures that people are, resigned to just turn their video off, but a real collaborative, open-minded space where crowdsourcing and empowering people through the thoughts of all the participants present, and even just looking at learning modalities like that. I feel that, coming from the education field, like, this is not anything new. I've been doing this for the last 30 years at the elementary level. However, just looking at how do you take a lot of complex information and really use the group wisdom to comprehend the greatest amount of information in the shortest amount of time. Not just comprehend it, but embody it, understand it, use it. And then wondering why is this such a new concept everywhere else? I guess when I went out of the education field, I was kind of baffled that these techniques aren't being used. And now that we're online through COVID, it's even more apparent how little people are using creativity and connection in a genuine, authentic way. Like, smaller spaces, greater impact. Like, take big spaces and break it down so people can really connect with one another. And that's my little soapbox.
Right, you want to jump in? Oh,
maybe one thing.
Yeah.
Not just be talking heads. That I related to that very much. What you said there, and that's a topic of mine. How even in online environment we can be whole, and part is that not to just be mental, but also bring in what we really feel. It's other aspects of ourselves, but then also the body. So I have stuff with me that I'm like engaging, so that I stay with the body. I love moving also in smaller groups and doing something embodied. Sometimes switch off the video and have that more freedom of, like when the video is on, it's always has a little bit of a component of how do I look,
right,
and less freedom to fully be yourself. So to play with those, that's a topic for me, the whole embodiment.
I love that. I love that. I come from sensory work in education, so trying to engage all 5 senses is the way to be present. Yeah, exactly. I love that. Yeah, I'm just looking for, where can I go with this? How do I use this? How do I do more?
Wow. One of the things that I've been inviting in with the spaces that I hold and create is how we bring arts into it to kind of spark
Mhm.
that creativity.
Mhm.
To have arts infused facilitation, arts infused spaces. Also leveraging, I have my window open, so bug. um, Improvisation, for example,
Yeah,
which is another form of art, right? To help, right? To engage and
absolutely.
connect.
I find people that say, there's a few like improv teachers here in town. And I was like, oh, are you doing no? Well, when COVID came, we had to shut down. I was like, wow, not creative enough. Look, it could totally work online. It totally
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
Like even the opening today brought a little improv, like, hey, yes, yes, and with one another on these unimagined possibilities, right? And name it and speak it out. And so just little thoughts, bringing that type of creativity into the spaces, as you're saying that you're missing in the workplace. I find it so valuable it creates, I think, that collective ownership and
Yes.
refinement of ideas as well. And when you're doing that, when you bring improv and you're just a brevity of ideas out there, so when you get to something, it's not about that was my idea that you're beholden to.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we created this, we refined it. So many ideas were thrown out, and you're piggybacking off one another that that magic happens. You're creating that space for that magic to happen. What
Yes.
are your thoughts, ladies?
I see just that enormous capacity in Lina and you to, I mean, I don't know the behind the scenes, but the way I experience you, the whole invitation, the way everything is set up, I see that beautiful balance of holding and space and invitation and gentleness and listening and really, really from truly like from who you are, valuing the, I wonder what will be brought forward. Like in the opening that you say, oh, well, there are people here who know a thing or two about open space. Please, let's all together describe the principles. I remember when I experienced that the first time at another Future of Work event. I was like, what a richness, what a variety. Not this one open space facilitator who describes it all, but to elicit that from who's there. And that was embodiment of the wisdom in the people from the get-go.
Yeah.
I apologize that I missed the first session. And I'm actually new to open space and the concept of it. Um, I find like I got this invitation from my friend who's in the software world. And so is open space concept being used in other arenas that's not technology? Do you know?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Can
Yes,
you
yes,
tell me
yes,
more
yes.
about that? And I'm really sorry for my naivety. I don't understand it as well.
You don't need to seriously, I'm an open space geek. To put it out there, so I could just say yes, yes, yes. But I'll let someone else to share like some of the places open space is being used, and I'll add to it. Do you want to share a little bit?
I don't know. Probably it's more like where has it not been used? I think it's been used in all kinds of industries. I know it's been used in the military, even definitely in education and small. Like I've seen someone do open space just with himself, which is extraordinary. That's not what it's originally made for, but you can still do it. The largest open space that I know of was with plus 2,000 street kids in Brazil. And then another one in Germany also with plus 2,000 participants. So it has an enormous capacity and variety.
Maybe I don't understand what it means. Like, what is the definition?
So open space is a loose way to organize. I think framework doesn't do it justice, so I won't use that word. It's a loose way to organize. It's where people come, the people there create the agenda, decide what conversations they want to
I
act
see.
in. So
It's a playground.
yeah, it's a playground. And that's the beauty in it. And a part of that is we walk in certain principles, you know, and that when we say walk in it, that's not just physically walking, mentally, emotionally, all different things that we're holding that space of thinking about, like whoever's there are the right people. Whatever happens is the only thing that could. It starts when it starts, it's over when it's over. And
So
which one?
like
Wherever it happens
Clubhouse.
is the right place.
Yeah, yeah.
I love the
Wherever it happens,
playground.
the right place. The way you describe it as a playground is amazing, and it has this law of mobility as a principle. Some people refer to it as the law of 2 feet or personal mobility. It has gone by different names. It's just to indicate which all of those principles has mobility in it on how you engage in the space. And people use it. Communities have used open space, governments have used open space, organizations, and the list goes on and on and on. And it's really, you know, it's been pen was put to paper by watching how others did it. You know, indigenous souls have organized and how they worked. And
So
Harrison
essentially,
Owen documented that and shared that with other people.
it has
This open space technology. Go ahead.
So it has to be a gathering. However, it is a and oftentimes is so sometimes I want so there's a so the share definition is it's a gathering of people that are there for a purpose of a general topic, and then the how and the what is to be determined. Is that still too defined for what open space is?
I don't want to be dogmatic about language at all, because that's not what open space is about. But I think you got the sense of it, you know, because people use different terms for different things. You know, when it's like like we gather around a theme. That's the terminology they use in open space.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they say like, hey, a theme, and this theme is unimagined possibilities, as you articulate it in other words, which is okay, right? And they discover, yes, the how and why. And some people, yes, they lead to various actions, and it's very exciting. So
I want to jump off the playground a bit more and say it's an invitation to play according to very organic rules or principles. And many open space facilitators, like several in the community, will say you cannot learn open space, you can only remember it. Because it's actually embedded into us. So that was my experience when I first heard about it in 2002, and I had left my corporate job, and I was looking for what is that I truly want to do, like why am I here, and what is worth living in the first place. And someone pointed me towards open space, and I read about it, and I burst into tears at 1 a.m. at night. I will never forget that moment, because it so deeply spoke to me. It's like, yes, this is how we're meant to be with each other, in that way, that freedom together with enormous trust and an appreciation of full humans, of what's possible within us. And then, yes, we gather around a shared theme, and in that everyone moves about, and then there's this overall sense of belonging, which so dear
The
to me that
belonging.
like at the beginning, at the end, we gather together in the large circle, and in the middle, everyone does what. It's an invitation to be real and to be honest, and not to pretend like, okay, I'm here, I pretend to be interested, but actually I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
And by everyone being real or becoming more and more real, based on these principles, there's this flow and synchronicity that becomes possible, especially in longer gatherings, where you're like, oh, I'm kind of done with this here. Let me go over there. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad that I joined in this very moment, because there's an answer to a question that I have since several weeks, and I didn't even know I have that question. So there's certain magic that comes about in just enough structure so that something is possible. Like that level of structure in which then a flower blossoms. It doesn't.
Yeah. I really like that definition, because I'm a facilitator and a community organizer. And yeah, I'm kind of shocked that I have not come across the term open source sooner than now. What in the world?
Open space technology.
Open space. And Soyoung, hello. Hi.
Hello. I was on my lunch break, so I thought I would like drop by for.
And by the way, Soyoung is another former educator. And thank you for joining a live conversation. You're like, oh, I'm joining from my lunch break, and I'm just going to go live with April and a bunch of other souls I haven't met. And before we wrap up here, because I actually have to go facilitate again. Soyoung, what are you unimagining? What's an unimagined possibility?
Oh gosh. I think everything, right? Like unimaginable that I would be switching careers in my life, and here I am. Unimaginable that I would be able to follow through some of these meetings and kind of understand where everyone's at. Like that was so unimaginable for me, but like here I am. I feel like it's just like that idea of like anything is possible if you just open up your mind for things like that, right? Like I mean, that's just the whole thing. Like never say never, or say, oh, I can't do these things because, I don't have the skills, or I don't have whatever experiences, because all of those things will follow if you decide to take that step. So that's kind of the journey that I am at right now. Everything that I am facing at work, it's kind of like, okay, I don't know, and I'm so uncomfortable with this, but like, if I continue to just say that to myself and never really go forward with it, I will always be in the uncomfortable stage. And at some point I have to step forward and say, okay, like, let's try this. Let's try it. I don't know if it's going to work, but let's just do it. And then by doing that, you learn through that process where you think like, okay, that went well, but this part could be refined, or like this went really well. Let me share with my other colleagues that it went really well. And then you just kind of grow in that way. And that way it's like you have those conversations. You say like, oh, like I learned something new. Have you tried this? Yeah, me too. And then you kind of trade back and forth your stories, and then you refine it to, share it to the other people who might need to hear it. So right now I'm in the stage of like working one-on-one with like scrum masters and product owners, which, it's like that coaching piece of it. I'm in those meetings, I just kind of flat out say like, oh, so this is kind of like, I'm going down this journey with you. So I'm with you every step of the way. And let's learn together. You'll teach me things, I'll teach you things. And then like we kind of go from there. And those are always like really great conversations, because after that meeting, I'm like, yeah, like maybe I didn't get to fully accomplish what I want to accomplish, but at least I now got to build relationships. Now I've like see that there's possibilities and other like facets or avenues, because I'm like, oh, I didn't know that, but now I can start exploring this thing that you were talking about during our meeting. So that's what's unimaginable, 100%.
I think that's awesome to put up to a close this live. And for people who are watching, we'll be going live all day, multiple times. So, and I don't know who will be here. Whoever's here will be the right people. And whatever happens is the only thing that could. And we thank you for joining us. We're here live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. And we'll see you again in a little bit.